Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us here today. This is a very special occasion for us, as well as, I believe, ultimately the patients in this country. Um, First, a warm welcome to some of the dignitaries that we have invited to join us in this historic event. Um, the Honorable Minister of State Skills Development, Entrepreneurship, and Parliamentary Affairs, Shri Ravi Pradeep Rudi. Thank you for joining us, sir. Also, a nice warm welcome for a partner that has been a very big advocate as well as a helping hand in this, Mr. Dilip Chenoy, who's the MD and CEO of the National Skills Development Corporation. Also to Mr. Ashish Jain, who's the CEO of HSSC, and as well our partners in this, Monopol, Max, Mahajan Imaging, ILFS, HCL, and Symbiosis. Together, this group of companies and individuals is working to make sure that we can have two main outcomes. One is to make sure that healthcare can be expanded across the country with the quality that is necessary to deliver patients their best opportunities to a healthy life. The second is to make sure that great jobs are created for this youth of India. We know we have 150 million people that are graduating from high school with the need for not just a job, but for a future. As well as we have 55 lakh of allied health professionals that are needed in order to expand the healthcare system to reach the 600 or nearly 600 million people that are underserved or not served at all today. So with that, I think that it is something that we have, as a corporation, had a longstanding commitment to education across the world. It is high time that we made a substantial investment in this in India. And it is indeed our privilege to be able to participate in this fashion to help make sure and to be true to our mission, to be at work for a healthier India. With skills, we get health in the healthcare system. And with that, I am privileged to invite the Honorable Minister, Mr. Rajiv Pradeep Rudi, to the stage for his few words around the need of the hour for healthcare in this country.
Good afternoon. It's indeed a pleasure to have been interacting with John and Terry since last evening. I'm sure we have Rahul Vidya is here from Pune, Symbiosis, Prem, Arjun Bose, Ashish Jain, and of course, Mr. Rao. Yeah. Mr. Mahajan and all those who are present here. Well, of course, yesterday evening when we met, Teddy wanted to know actually what do I intend doing? And that was one question which many people have been asking. And all this while I have been, because you see in India, last 60 years, 66 years ever since we had independence, what we have been talking about is education, and that has been our focus. This ministry has been created by the Prime Minister, and it's the first time in independent India that after 66 years, someone decided to see that we need skills in this country. And possibly what may have come in the Prime Minister's mind is some of the statistics, some of the figures which has emerged across the world. And if I have to just put my argument through, and compare India to overall skills across the world. Even China today with a population of 1.4 billion has about 47% of the workforce which is skilled. Australia, which of course does not have a very large population, but yet has almost 60% of the workforce which is skilled. United Kingdom, it says 68% of the workforce is skilled. Germany, they say it's said that 74%, Japan is 80%. Korea, of course, South Korea is 96%. And we have to pick up that figures in India. I'm sure it will not be a shock because it's a reality. Just 2% of the workforce which is skilled. And with a country with 1,260 million people, and when we are setting up dreams for Make in India and so forth and so on, when we are talking the growth to go up to from 8% to double-digit figure, if this is the manpower which we have, it's something which is indeed a big challenge for the nation. Have we started? Have we begun? Yes. When we started working on it in 2009, and of course, 2009, we decided the then government had the National Skill Development Policy, in which they had targeted somewhere around 500 million people to be trained. I really do not know what compelled them to come to this figure. It's actually, we started with a figure of somewhere around 500 million people, which means almost half the work population of the world. And subsequently, it went off for 5 years. We had National Skill Development Corporation, the two bodies, National Skill Development Agencies, and there were many more challenges to it. And once we started looking at sector-wise, we found that actually India needed a large workforce which was required to match the aspirations of this country. And so from 2009 till 2014, this new government was formed, where the Prime Minister decided that we will form a department when this government was formed, and it came as a department when the government was formed, and this ministry was attached to the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs. And it was just with the induction of, when I was inducted last November in the Union government. Well, this is not my forte. I've never been into something like this. I have been with aviation, I have been with commerce. And this time possibly I got a completely new assignment with a completely new, it was just absolutely drawing a line on a blank sheet. But I can tell you, someone who was crusading this was the Prime Minister himself. And I can see the challenges which he, possibly because it's not that skill development has not been happening in this country, it's been happening. It's been happening, but it's been happening across, we have been spending about, in 24 odd ministries in Government of India, we're spending about good 7,000 to 10,000 crores, even if we leave the states, the federal states, not to what they're doing. It was almost impossible, and that is when we decided to have the National Skills Qualification Framework, a standard which possibly, what were the challenges? A, mobilization and to find people who were actually deserved to be trained. B, then the standards of the training, which was scattered and it was in different parameters. So we had to bring the National Skills Qualification Framework. And we are happy that we are moving a big way, because when we talked about the NSQF, right from entry level to 1 to 10, that was, and the skill gap mapping, which was done across the country by NSDC, which we are going to publish the report. All these factors started happening, and it was very difficult initially to tell the nation that, look, we have to have some standards, and these standards not only to have, they don't only have to be within the country, but they have to match internationally. Now, the process is on, and I believe the creation of the sector skill councils, and this is the Health Sector Skill Council, and we have Shubnam and all the others here. This was possibly for the first time in this country where skills moved out from the forum of the government, where they created syllabus for training, to the industry-driven system where they created the syllabus, which we call the QPs and the NOSs. And I think it's been working fine. But the biggest challenge with NSDC is to maintain those standards and to see that they match internationally. Well, we have now 33 sector skill councils. Health is one of them. And there's a huge demand in the health sector. Construction, about good 100 million people. In automotives, about 30 million people. And you look into every sector, we have mapped to have around good about 150 million people who are required today. So how to match this challenge, and where do you get the resources from? And that was another big challenge which we had. Resources can't come from the government, and you cannot match it to education, where they are spending about lakhs of crores every year for education. And as we stand today, even if you are spending about 20,000 rupees on training an individual, and if you look at the entire workforce, which is about 550 million people, and if I leave 54% of the workforce, which is in the agriculture sector, so we are left behind with around 250 million people, which we need to address immediately overall. And about 1 million people joining the workforce every month, so another 10 million people, so another 300 million people by 2020, if we have to talk about it. Now, if you talk about, even if we say that make it 250 million people, and I require 20,000 rupees, I require 5 lakh crores in next 5 years. That means about 1 lakh of crore every year, and that is the resources if we actually want to move ahead. I'm not talking about the problems of the scattered approach. So we need the resources, and we need partnership, and we need the support, and the government cannot do it. And possibly I feel that GE here, there are many more who are wanting to partner this crusade. And I'm sure in times to come, as we are seeing things progressing today, things are moving in the right direction. It's not that we're disappointed. Actually, they should have started about 50 years ago, but we have started doing it now, maybe 6 months ago. So that's a fact, and if we have to match them, what had to be done in last 60 years to be just the beginning, it's a challenge. It's almost an unthinkable challenge. But I'm sure, and I see the sector skill councils, I see the zeal of the government, and I see the participation of the industry, and that is huge, because whether it's medical, it's health, it's autos, it is construction, it is even plumbing, or for that matter, adventure sports and sports as a sector skill council. There's a huge demand there. So I'm sure this is it's a good beginning. I'm sure GE Healthcare, and we have Terry, we have Frank, John here, and we would be in a position to carry this forth. So this is my small submission to this audience and all those who matter in this industry, that nonetheless, we have to come together. And I'm sure, I believe you visited Noida this morning and you had some physical sight seeing of these places with all these medical groups which we have. I will not like to go into the statistics of healthcare, but I can understand that I feel that we all are moving in the right direction. So these are few words which I just wanted to flag the issues. You asked me how you're going to do it, and that of course is something which we have taken as a challenge, and we have a roadmap. Government is putting certain things in place. We are trying to put all the ministries under one umbrella, trying to put sync, whether it's labor, whether it's education, and whether it's most of the departments, whether it's tourism, whether it's health. We're trying to put them across so that they can come under one platform. We can have a focused approach, and we can just not the quality which we are talking, we are also talking about scaling up the whole thing. And scaling would require a lot of effort, because quality along with scaling is something which does not go together. And if we can meet and match that challenge, possibly that would be our biggest achievement. So with these words, I just wanted to say thank you. And thank you, G, for coming around and thinking the way. But Terry, I can tell you the questions which you are asking was on a very high-end precision. We possibly would not, because what I understand today and the things which we are talking here today, something I asked, I was going through the QPs of what we actually require, and even if you have to operate your machines. And it comes along with anesthesia technician, blood bank technicians, cardiac care technicians, and diabetic assistants, and so forth and so on. And there's a huge demand. Maybe high precision, which the doctors can also use their, for an ultrasound or an assessment, that would be different. But we are talking large numbers for the basic healthcare, which possibly would be primary to many else. Even medical lab technicians, and the Sector Skill Council here has mapped them according to the demands. So pharmacy assistants and radiology technicians, Dr. Mahajan can say there's a huge dearth in the government sector to have these radiology technicians. We don't have them trained. And we cannot go in the formal structure to train them. It would take years. It would require a lot of money would get involved. So we have to find a way out where this certification through the Sector Skill Council is good enough and has standards good enough to match internationally. So these are the few points which I wanted to mention. But thank you once again to have come together and to partner us in this ambitious program launched by the Prime Minister. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your vision. We will totally support you in the challenge that you have taken, and we hope that we'll be able to match your speed and bridge the gap. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the panel discussion. May I please invite Terry to chair the panel? In our panelists, we have people from across the different sectors. I would like to invite Mr. Dilip Shenoy, the CEO of NSDC, Dr. Shabnam Singh, CEO for Mihir, Mr. Ashish Jain, CEO for Healthcare Sector Skill Council, Dr. Harsh Mahajan, Chief Radiologist and Founder for Mahajan Imaging, and Dr. Vidya, Principal Director for Symbiosis. Thank you.
So we'll try not to make this too much of a hot seat for you, but we'll try to make a quick set of questions that I think are, as we get into this, and I think each of you on your own rights have done a tremendous job at bringing about the skilling of India. But I think in the specific space of healthcare, we've got some, as was mentioned by Ms. Rudy, we've got a lot ahead of us in terms of the 55 lakh allied healthcare professionals that are needed for this, in addition to the biomedical engineers that are also required in order to make sure we have adequate support of these technologies and the safe use of these technologies. So, Dr. Singh, I'll start with you, having just spent the morning with you in this fantastic center that Max and Mir have launched. To hear from the kids that are coming out of the villages to their opportunities that they see, much brighter ahead of them as a result of this. But when you look at the importance of us being able to skill India, equaling a healthier India, from the Max Group, and you're pioneering in this particular way, how do you see that skilling of India, the challenges of the infrastructure that's needed to get this off the ground?
The challenges will never grow, and anything that you start, it has to be a bold move. It's a very simple statement. If you keep looking at it as a challenge, you'll never get the infrastructure. And I think we demonstrated that to you this morning, where we took a ward and we turned it into a training space. The day it is required as a ward, it will go back to it. And unless training in healthcare is done right at the point of care, that training is meaningless. What is it that we are doing today in the world? We don't want patients to come to the hospitals, we want hospitals to go to the patients. So likewise, in training, we have to go to the community and start training right there. If we keep looking for that opportune space, the perfect material to train them, it'll never happen. So we just have to go out and do it, and that's what we've done.
Yeah, and congratulations, by the way, because it's a beautiful center, and it is a bold move, I think, for what you've done. Ashish, I'll go to you. In terms of all the great work that's, I think when we started, 2 years back, or when we had our first governing council meeting, one of the things that was always on our mind was, how do we ensure quality? This training, the vast need of the training, obviously scale of the training is there. But as you see the journey so far, and as you look into the next 5 years, how would you articulate the fact that we also want to bring along quality of outcome of training?
I think, Terry, the quality is the most important factor, especially in the healthcare sector, given that we actually deal with the lives of the people. And probably, as you mentioned about the first governing council, I think that's the first and the foremost thing which was talked about, saying that we need to focus on quality and quality. And as rightly the Honorable Minister just mentioned in his opening remarks, quality is fine, but we need to scale it up to meet the needs of the country as well. So probably I think we're trying to do both the ends and see how we can actually balance between two. We are actually maintaining quality first while we develop the NOSIS. Probably that's what we look at. We are kind of drafting those NOSIS as per the quality requirements of the healthcare providers, so that maintains one quality. We are maintaining quality at the institutions which we affiliate, and probably yourself, your institution, GE and Mihir are the kind of replica of that in terms of the quality as well. So while we affiliate institutions, we do keep in mind which institutions to affiliate and how there's a quality assurance process now, which is mapped to the IOC levels, which is the international standards now. We are moving into that direction. Third quality level, which we have as check, is probably at the assessment level, because that's the trainee which comes out, finally, which is available for us to work in the healthcare system. So the assessment is again, made in such a way that probably the person, if he would not have hands-on experience or is not properly qualified or not competent enough in terms of quality, would not go through the assessment. So we're trying to see and get those checks and balances done at all various levels and have continuous monitoring at various places in training institutions also with the trainees as well, and we continue monitor them as to how we can improve on the quality aspects as well. Yeah. But it's a challenge, but we need to scale it up, as the minister rightly put it. But we are trying to meet those challenges and see how we can move fast towards that. Yeah.
Very good. Dr. Vidya, from our meeting that we had at Symbiosis, it's such an impressive institution, and the discipline that your students had, I was really, I don't think I've ever met a student body that was so straight and ready to take on the world. But when you look at what we're trying to do, and clearly many of us are not formally trained educators, what pointers or would you give to us as a healthcare industry in terms of the things that we need to make sure we're doing to make skills development a reality?
Actually, as a university, we are doing something which probably not many universities have thought of doing. So instead of setting up a medical school first and then going on to do health skills, we're just doing the opposite, We thought that health skills is what is required, and being a doctor myself, I know that of course India does require doctors, but maybe in few thousands or whatever the figures are. But India definitely requires more healthcare professionals at various levels. And when we talk about various levels, it's right from technicians, technologists, nurses, and then finally doctors and specialists and so on. So we've decided to cater to the foundation. So when you look at a triangle, the foundation and the middle is what we are catering to. So presently, we are doing courses in medical technology, but these are degree courses, and in nursing, which are again degree giving courses because we are a university. But now we are getting down to establishing a Symbiosis Center for Health Skills, which will look at skilling, people for the healthcare industry. And I'm so happy that we've partnered with, we are going to partner with GE, and we're already in partnership with the Health Sector Skill Council. And we will be able to multiply these in numbers, but we also as a university are looking at the growth of these people as technicians first, then growing on to becoming technologists, and maybe go on to, you're a great example, from BSc Medical Technology to MSc Medical Technology. So we're looking at certificates, diplomas, BSc and MSc, so that you actually give a forward growth to a person who has just joined as a skilled professional, and then going on to making him a graduate, a postgraduate, and maybe even a PhD. Yeah. So for which we definitely require a very, very strong industry partnership, because I don't think universities alone will be able to do anything like this, and where your role and many other industries will have to come forward and shake hands with, with the academic world, and that's where I think the success of this whole skilling in the healthcare sector will follow.
Yeah. That's great. Dr. Mahajan, if I don't embarrass you to say happy birthday, because today's your birthday. I think you've clearly had a long history of wanting to provide quality at every level. And I think whether it's the technicians that work in your department or the people that you've brought on board and trained, but as we've had a lot of discussions around taking the radiology community, the physicians community, and as technology keeps marching forward, does the physicians have access to ways to continually keep their skills current and to take full advantage of the advancing technologies for betterment of patients' care? As we launch into these programs that are going to help hopefully provide that structure, as you look at this, what's your what most interests you in terms of advancing this idea of upskilling or providing advanced skills for the radiology community?
See, currently the way radiology is taught in this country, there's a lack of standards. You may have institutions which are comparable to the best in the world, and then you have institutions where you don't know what is going on. You have as you know, radiologists are the number one in the field of medicine. Someone who is the topper of the entrance exam chooses radiology. If, say in Delhi, you're not in the top 10 positions, you cannot be a radiologist. So you have the best talent coming into radiology, and that's across the country. But you have, if we separate that into the government sector and the private sector, in the government sector, the best students are getting in, but there's such a variation in the technology that's available in government institutions across different states. There is also a huge variation in the skills of the teachers, the radiologists who are working there. So even though you have the best going, maybe someone from Delhi or someone from Gujarat or Maharashtra may be very well brought out once he finishes his MD, and someone from UP or Bihar may be lacking. I mean, I have nothing against those states, but that's a fact of life. On the other hand, in the private institutions, you have institutions which are wonderful, like the Symbiosis and Manipal and some others, maybe 25%, 30% have what it takes, skilled teachers, good technology. The other 70%, even if they have technology, they may not have patients. We know of these patients who are brought in on the day of an MCI inspection. And also the way the entrance exam is conducted, there are a lot of question marks about it. And these may not be the best students. So you have a dichotomy between the government and the private sector. And so I would say 60-65% of the postgraduates who are qualifying may be lacking, either due to their own deficiencies because someone paid for a seat and got in, or for the fact that those technologies were not available. Radiology is very technology dependent. Yeah. And so that's where you need to actually bring them up to a level where you can unleash them into the medical sector. Second is those who are already practicing and want to enhance their skills because technology has improved. Newer technologies are coming in. So there's this two group of people, the young postgraduates whose skills need to be brought up to a level where they can start practicing, and then those who want to enhance their skills, and one would need to target both of them separately.
Yeah. Well, given how, if you go to any center, how busy, what long hours and how busy radiologists are, how are we going to convince radiologists to take time out and take a training course?
No, I think most of them are willing to do that. We've had, over these last 20 years, we've trained about 200 radiologists who've stayed with us from about a week. One of them even stayed a year without any emoluments. And they want to learn, they want to enhance their skill sets. I think that won't be the difficult part. The difficult part will be actually to create an environment where they can come and learn. And what we have planned with GE is not only to do that, the theoretical part of it, which, you can go on the net and have the best guy delivering a lecture and be able to hear him, but actually on the job, hands-on training with workstations similar to what they would use on a day-to-day basis when they are treating patients and diagnosing disease.
Dilip, as you've had a lot of experience with these different sectors, what would you say is unique about the healthcare sectors, this idea of skilling, as compared to some of the other vocational areas?
So thanks, Terry. I think if you look at the healthcare sector, and just to put it in perspective, we don't understand what 1 lakh or 100,000 people being trained a year means, and that's the number which the Healthcare Sector Skill Council has certified this year, a little more. It means that every 30 seconds, every day, the Healthcare Sector Skill Council is certifying someone for the healthcare sector. It's never happened in India before. It's really been led by the minister and the ministry and to scale it up. And next year it's actually going to double, if you see that, because that's the announcement in the budget. But I think what the government and industry and everybody else is looking for leadership from the healthcare industry is that you have these 28 occupation standards that you've created, and you're going to get into 3 more in the social sector. But if the training institutions and industry just say that we're only going to hire people certified by the sector council, then you are giving a huge fillip to the government program in skill development and creating scale. And the GE thing actually has a broader context, and many may not remember, but when Prime Minister Modi and President Obama met, one of the outcomes was to actually collaborate in standards and in skills between the US and India. And this partnership, which you see here, is actually fulfilling that. And the ambition is that if these centers can get to skill about 10,000 people at every center every year, then you're actually meeting the vision of President Obama and Prime Minister Modi. So it's very important, not only bilaterally, but also in the healthcare sector. And the other thing is that if every machine, and this is a Volvo never sells a bus without the driver being trained by Volvo and certified. So if GE says we're not going to sell a machine without that person being certified by the Healthcare Sector Skill Council, then you're actually adding lakhs and crores of rupees to the government healthcare training program. Right. So very, very simple solutions. Yeah. You don't require any government permission. Between John and you can decide and make it happen. And you will transform rural India. Yeah. Because now your expansion is going to be in rural India. And you're taking jobs to rural India. So these are three things that you can actually transform the lives of millions of young people in the country.
Well, I think, again, I go back to the two basic principles. One is the fact that we know this is so important, and in fact, we feel very strong about this, that the quality of healthcare that's getting delivered should matter to the patient. This is not a, hold the bar too high for people. This is what patients are entitled to, is safe and effective care. I think the other piece of it, which we do feel, obligation as a corporation, is to be a partner in the development of employable job creation in a country that has an average age of 27 years old. This is the, as Modi says, this is the dividend of India, is this youthful population. And that's why I think we're so bullish about India. It's a place that has a long runway for growth and a long runway for development. So listen, I want to thank you all because you're each making a very important contribution to this. And I think together we will indeed make sure that we have a healthier India of the future. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, panelists. It is not lost upon us that GE alone cannot be a significant player in skill development. We need these partners. We need to make sure that we take all of you along with us. So we're going to take next few minutes to just celebrate this partnership and recognize that partnership. So Honorable Minister, if I can request you to please join us on the stage with John and Terry. I'm going to start with somebody who actually creates the atmosphere for skill development. And can I please have Ashish to come and be with us on the stage? Why don't you stay back, Ashish? Can I now request Dr. Shabnam Singh from here? Can I please request Mr. Prem Kumar from HCL? somebody who has actually helped us through creating this vision, Dr. Harsh Mahajan. Can I request Mr. Rajan Padukone from Manipal, please? Mr. Arun Kumar from ILFS. Finally, our latest partner to be, can I request Dr. Vidya from Symbiosis? Actually, it's unfair that all the partners get something and G does not get anything. So I'm going to have all the partners sign this a memento as a token for our partnership. Thank you very much, sir. I'll just request our President and CEO, John Frandy, to share his opinion on the skill development initiative in India.
So thank you very much for the chance to participate today, and I'd like to again thank the Honorable Minister for joining us not only today but last evening. We had a chance to brief him on some of our thoughts, and I can tell you that I was not in a GE meeting, but I felt like I was in a GE meeting. He was very curious and specific in peppering me with questions about numbers and things like that. So he's a very committed person to this task. I just say a couple of quick things. GE's been in India for over 100 years. We've had a partnership with Wipro in the healthcare space for over 25 years. So we are just incredibly committed to the healthcare space, but the country overall. And in that context, it's a true privilege for us to be able to participate in this program. I had the good fortune to live and work in India for almost 4 years, so it's great to be back and especially as part of this. What we would like to announce today really is the culmination of what you've seen just prior here, which is the establishment of an accredited skill building program in the healthcare space, targeted both at 12th standard pass students looking for vocational skills and a lifetime of employment, as well as existing professionals that can upgrade and continue to refresh their skills. So today we're announcing the launch of our first GE Healthcare Institutes in Mumbai and Delhi. We intend to launch a minimum of one of those in every state in India alongside our partners. I'll talk about that in a second. And the goal for us is to train a minimum of 100,000 current and future professionals in the healthcare industry. So we think that'll have a major impact. It's a big effort for us, but I think in totality we play a small role and really credit and cannot do this without the help of all of our partners that you see listed here and have seen up on the stage. So we try to do our share, but we're humble and recognize that without the partners and the government support and active support, we cannot accomplish this. I just finished with one last thought. We did have the chance to be out in Noida today at the Max Center there, and I have the fortune of working in a large global enterprise at GE Healthcare. We're in 130 countries. And I travel to many or most of them over the course of the year. So there's a lot of activity that fills up my calendar. But today and this morning was one of those few things that I'll remember for many, many years to come. And I think crystallized for me how important this effort is. So we had a chance to meet 3 of the students that are in the first batch going through this, as well as a number of representatives from the village. And the students really would make you proud. They're standing up there sort of fiercely determined in front of this sea of people in suits and things. I mean, that was a big step for them, but you could really see this program in a micro and macro basis. So those 3 young adults, 2 men, 1 woman, and the promise and the impact it has on their lives, the conviction they have about how their lives are going to be different because of this training, both from obviously a personal, economic basis and a professional basis, but also their passion about the healthcare business and how they can participate in their community. So it was a very tangible expression for 3 young people and the people in their village. So on a micro basis, you couldn't help but feel proud of them and motivated by them, and feel like it's all worthwhile. We can touch and see those people. And then I think on a macro basis, we step back and think of that sort of 3-person example and multiply that by 100,000, multiply that by the number of families that would be impacted by that, multiply those professionals out in the healthcare industry, and pretty quickly you're talking about millions of people's lives being affected by a program like this. And then lastly, from a GE perspective, we would like to do this and learn from this and take this around the world. So on one level, it was 3 people in Noida this morning. On another level, you can think of it in a truly global context. And it was just a very inspiring thing for me. I will always remember it. And we look forward to supporting this program in India. And thank, again, the Honorable Minister for your support and the chance to work in this great country that I used to call home and still do in many, many ways. So with that, I think Marut, one last thing. But thanks for your support.
Thanks, John. Okay. Can you please get the slides on the? Okay. So we're going to spend next 2-3 minutes just to talk about the plans that GE has with its partner to, run this honorable mission. So, and I recall 25 years back when GE entered this country, we were even at that point focused on solving the customer's problem. The customer problem at that time was technology. The customer problem at that time was solutions. We very firmly believe, having been in this industry for 25 years now, that the biggest problem today is skills. We could give this country best of the machines, the highest of technologies, but as most of the panelists pointed out here, skill set has to be something that we work together with the industry partners and build. And that's the only way to improve outcomes for the healthcare system. I mean, we all alluded to some of these points here. 20 million high school grads every year. They need something to do. You let them go to the unorganized sector, and you lose a huge part of productivity that this India, is proud of. The demographic dividend that our Honorable Prime Minister talks about, these are the people we need to make sure we get to the mainstream and give them those healthcare jobs. And honestly, if we can provide an opportunity to even some of these people, that is something that motivates and drives me every day. And I'm sure that's something that you're all very passionate about. On one side, we have this huge problem of people not having employment, and on the other side, you have this healthcare industry which is crying for skilled manpower. So it just becomes a natural fit for these two problems to be solved. So we are in the healthcare space, one of the most respected areas of employment, white collar jobs, very stable jobs, especially for women. So our agenda with all our partners is to ensure that we give quality training to people who want to be part of this rising healthcare sector, if you will. So when we started thinking about it, and this is about a year back, we thought about what are the areas that we can play in as a technology company. We thought there is immense amount of opportunity in this country to enhance skills. You can talk about equipment technicians, you can talk about applications, you can talk about clinician, leadership courses. So what we have done with all our partners is devise a strategy to come up with a multi-generation plan which would help us graduate from starting with radiology technician, anesthesia technician, CT technicians, and then move on to the other skill set which are even more required. So we would not hesitate in this mission to go beyond our natural fit or beyond our comfort zone. The idea is to solve a problem, and GE and its partners are committed to go whatever length to make that a reality. I'm just showing you some snapshots from our first flagship institute in Mumbai. This center, Honorable Minister, is already up and running. We are already training people both for skill creation and skill enhancement, and we have got splendid results. The first batch, which is a 1-year program, all of them are placed in the first 4 months of joining the course, which is a great testament to the quality that we bring in along with our partners. So, I mean, one thing, like I've acknowledged before, is that partnerships are key to scale this up. So I would love to recognize our existing partners. I mean, we cannot do this without you. We cannot scale up without you. We cannot fulfill the mission that we've all set out for without your support. Okay? So these are the existing partners, sir. We are also very proud to have been signing today with HCL and Symbiosis in the areas of education, and go forward on this multi-generation plan that we have for this country. With that, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. We will now go for press Q&A. Can I please invite John and Terry to be on the stage? Honorable Minister, if we could please have you for 5 minutes to answer some of the questions that the press may have.